Buongiorno everyone! Welcome to our channel. We are here to discuss about Roman Republic and Roman Empire. We have some questions now to be answered later on after our discussion. So, how does the Rome come from Republic into an empire? Why did plebeians and patricians come into conflict? And what was the Rome's victory in the First Punic Wars? What is Latifundia? Who are the three ambitious wealthy military known as the First Triumvirate? Then who is the emperor who marked the beginning of the Roman Empire? What was the new policy introduced by Nerva? This is the Roman people lived in luxurious town houses or large country villas with swimming pools, courtyards, and winter and summer dining rooms. What is the popular entertainment in Rome? Next is what is the Greco-Roman culture, and last is what is the greatest contribution of Rome into the Western civilization. And now, we are going to start our discussion.
We should tackle first, the Romans built a strong republic. Second, the republic comes to an end. Third, Rome unites a vast empire. Fourth, the Roman society changes. And last but not the least is the Romans built on Greek culture. First, the Romans built a strong republic. Early in its history, Rome was a small town on the Tiber River in the central part of the Italian peninsula. This location gave Rome several advantages. The Tiber provided a route to the sea, giving Rome the opportunity for foreign trade. And the fertile plains could support to their large population. Rome was located in the heart of Italy and could expand in many directions. In this, the Greeks and Etruscans influenced Roman culture. The early people settlers of Rome were a people called the Latins, and the people called the Etruscans lived in prosperous trading cities to the north and west of Rome. They learned practical skills in sanitation, road building, architecture, and pottery making. After that, the Romans established a government without a king. In 509 BC, according to tradition, the Romans drove out their Etruscan ruler and established a republic, a government without a king. Its leaders all came from the class of wealthy landowners who were called patricians. A 300-member council of patricians, the Senate was the most powerful part of the government of the republic. The Senate controlled Rome's finances and foreign affairs. In the Senate, Rome's most influential citizens debated vital issues and made the important decisions affecting the state. Most senators had held other high government positions. They believed that they honored themselves and their families by serving Rome well. The military banners carried by the Roman armies bore the letters SPQR. These letters stood for Latin words that mean the Senate and the people of Rome. Then, the people gained a voice in government. The common people or plebeians had little say in the government. They struggled to gain equality with the patricians went on for 200 years. They could not hold high government positions or marry patricians. To avoid civil war between the different groups within the country, the plebeians were given the right to form their own assembly. They also elected officials called tribunes to protect their rights. In 451 BC, the plebeians succeeded in having Romans laws collected and written down for the first time. These laws give the common people some protection against unfair decision by patrician judges known as the 12 Tables. After that, their position continued to improve. They could no longer be enslaved for debt, and also gained the right to marry patrician and hold office of consul. The consuls could cancel each other's decisions by using the power to veto, the Latin word meaning I forbid. Eventually, they owned the right to become members of the Senate. By 287 BC, plebeians and patricians had equal rights. Afterwards, Rome becomes a military power. Despite the long struggle between patricians and plebeians, Rome continued to expand. The Romans showed a devotion to their city, a toughness of character, and a genius for warfare and diplomacy. They know how to wage war successfully, how to gain allies, and how to treat a defeated enemy. In 390 BC, after an attack by people called Gauls from north of Italy, the Senate required plebeians as well as the patricians to serve as soldiers. The strength of the Roman army was its superior discipline and organization. Next to that, Rome gains allies in Italy. Rome could not have conquered Italy without the help of other people in Peninsula. Its conquest in Italy gave Rome the additional soldiers it needed to expand further. Then after that, Rome and Carthage go to war. The series of wars that Rome fought with Carthage are called Punic Wars. Rome's victory in First Punic War gave it Sicily as its first province. Next, Hannibal invades Roman territory. As the Carthaginians continued to expand in Spain, Rome planned to attack them there. In 218 BC, the Carthaginian general Hannibal decided to strike at Rome, invading Italy from the north. In this Second Punic War, Hannibal is defeated. The people of Rome were shocked by costly defeat. Historian Livy wrote the streets were loud with the wailing and weeping of women. Then next to that, the Romans destroy Carthage. Driven by old hatreds and the memory of Hannibal's victories, the Roman burned Carthage to the ground and sold its survivors into slavery. In Third Punic War, Carthage is destroyed. Subsequently, the Romans gained control of the Greek world. After Hannibal's defeat, Rome went to war against his ally, the Kingdom of Macedonia. By 196 BC, Rome had defeated the Macedonians and taken over the protector of the Greek city-states in Asia Minor. Other victories followed in Greece and Asia Minor. By 133 BC, Rome had extended its rule over the entire Mediterranean, including all the Greek world.
Second, the Republic comes to an end. The Rome faces a crisis in agriculture. The word latitundia is the newly rich owners created large estates. While Rome, wars brought it new lands and power, critical, social and political problems developed at home. They began to face a crisis with agriculture. Many farmers are affected, even the soldiers become unemployed. After that, the Gracchus brothers worked for reform. In 133 BC, Tiberius Gracchus elected tribune and he promised to help the farmers. Many people said that Tiberius did that to gain the political power for himself. Because of that, Tiberius and 300 of his followers were killed, and rioting in his death was blamed on a group of senators. Years later, his younger brother, Gaius Gracchus, became tribune. He gave support for the middle class to secure more rights and open up more land for the farmers. In 121 BC, Gaius supporters and who opposed his policies having a conflict. In that, Gaius and several thousand people were killed. Next, Roman politics become corrupt and violent. The issues and conflict between rich and poor arises. Many people did their best in order to survive and they were ready to follow the leaders who promised them for food and entertainment. Roman slave revolt. In 135 BC, the slave Spartacus proclaimed a war to free slaves in Italy. Because of that, 90,000 slaves ran away to join his revolt, and he was killed in the battle, and also the victorious general Marcus Decius Crassus had 6,000 slaves put to death by crucifixion. However, ambitious general gained power. Through this year, it was easy for powerful, ambitious military leader to gain popular support. One of them is Gaius Marius, who grabbed the loyalty of the soldiers rather than to the government of Rome, because he promised that he give them money and land when the fighting is over. Marius' greatest rival was another commander, Laelius Cornelius Sulla. Sulla's captured the Rome after the bloody wars. He also used his victory to restore the authority of the Senate. In 82 BC, Sulla was given the title of dictator for 2 years. Then, the first triumvirate is formed. In 60 BC, 3 ambitious and wealthy military heroes banded together in what was known as the First Triumvirate.
The three were Gaius Pompey, known as Pompey, the Great for his victories in the East, Crassus, the victor over Spartacus and one of the richest men in the Rome, and Julius Caesar. Over the next 10 years, Caesar showed a genius for leadership and military strategy. He wrote all of Gaul, roughly the area now called France, under the Rome's control and briefly invade Britain. Caesar described his successes in his book The Gallic War. Even so, Caesar takes control of Rome. Pompey was gaining political power and he persuaded the Senate to order Caesar to return home without his army. Then the civil wars began again. Caesar defeated Pompey's army in Italy. In 46 BC, he returned Rome as a greatest hero and was named both dictator and consul. Because of Caesar's leadership, the life of people living in Rome was better and the new accurate Julian calendar was existed. Roman daily life. Many Romans lived in cities throughout the empire that serves as centers for culture, business, and government. The heart of the empire was on the Italian peninsula and city of Rome. Caesar is assassinated. Many nobles and senators are scared of Caesar's power. They felt that he would destroy the Senate and become a king. A group of nobles led Marcus Brutus and Gaius Cassius stabbed Caesar to death in the Senate. Also, Octavian victory bring the republic to an end. A second triumvirate was formed by the three of Caesar's supporters, Mark Antony, Lepidus, and Octavian. They defeat Brutus and Cassius. Then, Antony and Octavian become rivals. This victory made Octavian the unchallenged leader of Rome and also the Roman Republic comes to an end.
Third, Rome unites a vast empire. Octavian becomes emperor. Octavian won the support of the Senate by allowing it to keep some of its power. In the 27 BC, the Senate gave him a title that was also used for the gods Augustus, meaning honored and majestic. He also took the honorary title Caesar, which most later rulers added to their own names. Augustus Caesar was also referred to as first citizens, which implied that Rome was still a republic. In reality, however, Augustus' rise to power marked the beginning of the Roman Empire. Then, Augustus restored order throughout Roman territory. Augustus was not a power-hungry tyrant but a creative and responsible statesman. By giving veterans large bonuses and lands in Italy or the provinces, he gained the loyalty of his soldiers. Augustus bring people hope for peace and orderly government, and he broke the equality within the people in the Rome. This became the goals of the new empire. After that, the Roman peace begins. Augustus died in AD 14. His rule had brought Rome peace and a large measure of prosperity, introduced a period known as Pax Romana or the Roman peace. However, Augustus' successors lacked his ability. Most of the rule choose their hires from the member of their family. The Holy Claudian dynasty are known after Augustus, which were related to him or to his second wife. First is Tiberius, second is Caligula, third is Claudius, and last is Nero. In this, military leaders become emperors. After Nero's death, lawlessness swept Rome as military commanders compete for the throne. The army chose Vespasian as emperor. Through that, the Jews revolt against Rome. Vespasian led the rebellion in Judea to his son Titus after he declared as an emperor. 70 AD, Roman soldiers captured Jerusalem and destroyed the temple. Then, the good emperors bring stable rule. The two sons of Vespasian, namely Titus and Domitian, followed him as an emperor. The Senate chose Nerva to be a respected senator after Domitian's assassination. Nerva introduced a wise new policy, which is the Trajan rule. This rule ensured a succession of competent rulers who are sometimes called the God Emperors. In AD 117 to 138, Trajan's successor Hadrian devoted his reign to making the empire secure rather than adding more territory. He really admired Greek culture and was a poet and amateur architect. Sooner, the Pax Romana comes to an end. Marcus Aurelius was chosen to be the last emperor with the adaptive system, but he abandoned it, and he granted to his son Commodus. Commodus was not fit to rule, and his succession to the throne marked the end of the Pax Romana. That time, peace and order bring prosperity. During the 200 years of Pax Romana, they secured the safety of everyone to prevent civil war within the cities. The Pax Romana was generally a time of order and good government. Roman rule brought prosperity to the land of Rome. After that, Rome unites many people. A lot of people speak different language, especially the Latin, which is the Roman language. Following different customs, all three people in the empire became Roman citizens. They used the same system, obeyed the same laws, and swore allegiance to one emperor. Almost all felt proud and honored to be called a citizens of Rome. Here are the landmarks in technology. Roman engineers and architecture made outstanding technological achievements such as aqueducts, public baths, pantheon, and stadium. They built aqueducts to carry water to more than 200 cities. Elaborate plumbing system provided hot and cold water and steam for the public baths. The temple known as the Pantheon is considered a triumph of engineering. And stadium, most of the arcs in the Colosseum serve as entryways. This stadium seated 50,000 people on concrete tires around an oval arena, where gladiatorial contests were held. Using such simple instruments, Roman architects constructed a variety of buildings. Among the tools Roman carpenters used were hammers, cutting tools, and mason square.
Fourth, Roman society changes. Roman societies changes from the early days of the Republic to the period of Pax Romana, and family life changes. Women gain greater freedom. Cities are centers of culture. The Roman become centers of culture and entertainment because Roman engineers built a network of stone-paved road linking cities and making trade and travel easy within the empire, with schools, libraries, theaters, and public baths. Class divisions separate the citizens of Rome. There is a class division of power among the plebeians and patricians based on wealth. Upper class Romans were wealthy landowners whose fields were in the nearby countryside, like merchants, doctors, lawyers, and government officials were also members of upper class. They had wealth, social position, and political power. Wealthy Romans lived in luxurious town houses or large country villas with swimming pools, courtyards, and winter and summer dining rooms. They dressed in a fine silk and gold ornaments and jewels. However, the poor people in the cities and the Roman countryside had little share in politics or culture. Unemployment was widespread because slaves did much of the work and there was little industry. They also lived in wooden houses crowded closely together. Roman societies include slaves. In the first war with Carthage, the Romans enslaved 75,000 prisoners of war. Caesar conquest of Gaul brought thousands of other captives in the Roman slaves markets. By the time of Augustus, slaves may have accounted for a quarter of the population of Italy. Under the Republic, slaves were often badly treated. During the Empire, a lot of household slaves improved greatly. Educated Greek often become respected teacher in Roman families. Several emperors passed laws protecting slaves from cruel master. Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, argued humane treatment. Kindly remember that he won't you call your slave sprung for the same human stock is smiled upon by the same skies on equal terms with yourself, pretty lives and dies. In that time, Roman laws provided for a freeing of slaves under the certain condition. Then, family life changes. The changes of family authority brought Roman women more freedom and rights that they enjoyed. In the early day of Republic, a Roman woman went from the absolute authority of her father's household to the absolute rule of her husband. By the time of Empire, however, a father could no longer force her daughter to marry against her will. Then, the mother's daughter and wives in prominent senatorial families often acquired greater political influence. These women were self-assured and powerful. In this, school-educated young Romans, many of the important Romans values and attitudes were learned at home. A formal system of schooling for Roman boys developed. Rome's conquest of the Hellenistic world had a great influence on Roman education. Thousands of educated Greeks come to Rome, often as slaves. Many of them become private tutor for the child of the wealthy. They introduce young Romans to Greek art, science, philosophy, and literature. And last, Roman cities provide popular entertainment. The Roman people, both rich and poor, love violence, sport, and games. The most popular forms of entertainment in both the Republic and the Empire, chariot race, display of armed combat, and acts with the wild animals.
The fifth, the Romans built on Greek culture. Greek culture is brought to Rome. In 2nd century BC, the Roman Republic had absorbed some elements of Greek civilization. The blended of Greek and Roman influences is called Greco-Roman culture. It is spread throughout the empire during the Pax Romana, and people in the Roman cities enjoyed its benefits. Afterwards, poets expressed Roman ideals. Many people are become interested in poetry. Some of them are Virgil, who wrote the Aeneid, which requested by the Emperor Augustus, and Horace, a friend of Virgil and later on who became a friend of Augustus. Horace criticized the luxurious lives of many wealthy Romans, while Horace and Virgil prepared the country and wrote poems praising the Roman countryside. The poet Ovid was a city dweller. He wrote of wealth, passion, romance, and the enjoyment of life, and he also retold Greek and Roman myths in the Metamorphoses. But then, Juvenal criticized Roman society. The last great Roman writer was Juvenal, a keen observer of the Roman world, and he found much to criticize with his biting wit. Then, the Romans add realism to art. Every day, Romans became clever when it comes to art. The most popular form of art in Rome was the wall painting. Roman artisans were skilled in working with bronze and terracotta and in carving jewels. Moreover, Roman architecture is practical. The Roman architects were skilled engineers. They gradually became brainy when it comes to their techniques in doing some buildings, temple, theater, and etc. And besides, the Romans take a practical approach to science. The Romans' achievements in science were practical. They used science to build everything, and every day they became more wiser and smarter. Furthermore, Ptolemy and Galen dominate Roman science. The two most prominent scientists of Greco-Roman age were Ptolemy and Galen. Ptolemy was a mathematician, geographer, and astronomer. He proposed a model of the universe, and his system was a mistaken belief. While Galen was a Greek, but his theories dominated Roman medicine. He dissected animals to study the workings of the body. His work contained many errors. It was the basis for Western medical knowledge until modern times. In this, Roman thinkers followed the Stoic tradition. The leading philosophy of the Roman world during the Pax Romana was Stoicism. Roman Stoic carried on the traditions begun by Greek philosophers. Most famous of the Roman Stoic was the Emperor Marcus Aurelius. In his book of meditation, he expressed the Stoic belief that people should live simple lives, control their emotions, and be self-sufficient. And last, the Romans have a talent for law. The greatest contribution of Rome to Western civilization is a system of law and justice. The law codes of present-day Italy, Spain, France, and the nations of Latin America are based on Roman law. Cicero, the Roman writer and orator, said that the law should not be bent by influence or broken by power or spoiled by money. He considered obedience to law to be the one of the requirements of civilized life. We are servants of the law in order that we may be free, he said. One branch of Roman law, the law of nations, was applied to citizens in all parts of the empire. The idea that law could be based on just and rational principles and could apply to all people regardless of nationality was a major contribution to civilization. Way back to our question before. So, how does the Rome comes from republic to an empire? Specifically, after Caesar's death resulted in a long series of civil war that ended in the death of Roman Republic, and that was the start and birth of the Roman Empire within the leadership of Augustus Caesar in Rome. Why did plebeians and patricians come into conflict? Because plebeians want to gain a voice in the government and to obtain the equality between them. What was the Rome's victory in the First Punic War? Their victory was they gained the province of Sicily.
What is latifondia? The latifondia is a newly rich owners created large estates. Who are the three ambitious and wealthy military known as the first triumvirate? They are Gaius Pompey, Crassus, and Caesar.
Who is the emperor who marked the beginning of the Roman Empire? He is Octavian, or also known as Augustus Caesar. What was the new policy introduced by Nerva? The new policy introduced by Nerva is the Trajan rule.
This is the Roman people live in luxurious town houses or large country villas with swimming pools, courtyards, and winter and summer dining rooms. They are the wealthy Roman peoples. What is the popular entertainment in Rome? Popular entertainment in Rome is chariot race.
What was the Greco-Roman culture? The Greco-Roman culture is the blended of Greek and Roman influence. What is the greatest contribution of Rome to the Western civilization? The greatest contribution of Rome to the Western civilization is a system of law and justice.
That was the end of our discussions. By the way, I'm left to join the Billionaire Bar with my partner, Bonaventure Gregorio Buntuyan, from Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Social Studies, a second-year student of Palawan State University, Rojas Campus, saying that we can do this para sa bayan at sa kinabukasan. We hope you learned from it, you enjoyed it, and you get a lot of information in our discussions. Gracias, everyone, for watching and listening our video.